I think the UK is in a great space in terms of building world-class media businesses. I mean, we are phenomenal if you look across, all the creative disciplines, from sort of journalism to movies to music to advertising. We've got a wealth of creative talent in this country, and all we're struggling with at the moment is to work out whether we've got the potential sort of foundations to make sure that there's a future for all these guys. And I'm absolutely convinced there is. I'm very confident about the future for the industry, and very confident about the digital future for the industry. We are heading in a digital direction, and I don't think that we have to worry about that. I think some of the challenges that some of the businesses have faced actually it hasn't been about necessarily design or content. I think they've probably been a stage before that, which has been about the sort of infrastructure the web businesses have been based on. So the work that developers have done in building those systems actually I think have inhibited some of those publishers today. So I think when we look at the content management systems of some of the companies that we acquired, I think you can see how other businesses ended up in quite a difficult place. So I think you have to go back a stage rather than just focusing necessarily purely on get the content right. I think you also have to have the platform to make sure you can put the content in the right place. One of the big messages that I was trying to communicate this morning was really actually the focus on the core business. I think there's all of this look over there, as opposed to no, just get it right in what you're there to get right. And I think from Global's perspective, all we've really focused on has been about making sure that we get great output across all the stations that we own. And actually, if you get that right, all other things follow from that really easily. I think a lot of the issues with some of the publishers today is that they're not confident in their core product, and therefore they're looking for distractions elsewhere. So for me, absolutely very straightforward, get the core proposition right, and life's good after that. There aren't huge pockets of gold as much as probably people hope for in the monetization of content. I think what we're getting to is a sort of commodity-driven market. So we need to go through that process before we come out the other end where people will actually put a value against the content that they really want to have. So I think because we're sort of in a world at the moment where everybody's trying lots of different tricks, bringing out lots of different strategies, whether it's free, whether it's behind a paywall, and is one worth more than the other. And in many ways, it's exactly the same challenges that the newspaper industry, for instance, faced when free newspapers came out, and all the paid-for newspapers took a view that said, well, the consumer's not going to value that as much as a paid-for. Rubbish. So from our perspective at Global, we are happy in a truly ubiquitous medium, which radio is to get it out to as many platforms as possible for free. Okay, and then on the back of having a huge aggregated audience, right, we know we will be able to monetize it in a much more efficient manner. I'm a big advocate of Google. I don't sit there and go, well, it's just not fair. I think people are just going to get on with it. I think if it's not Google, it'll be another, and it'll be another, and it'll be another. I think you do have to look at who you partner up with, what kind of dynamic relationships you have. And for us, we're very happy with the relationship we have with Google. We actually have a much bigger relationship with the likes of Apple just because of the nature of our business. So I think it's easy to work with very, very big companies in different spaces. But I think there is still a bit of an undercurrent, which is Google's actually the elephant in the room, and people are very fearful of it. It is what it is. So get on with your life and deal with it. I'm fearful for Apple in a way, which I think people are sort of slightly surprised by. I'm fearful because I think the organisational structure is very, very narrow. I don't think it's broad enough. And I'm fearful for Apple because I'm of a certain age, loving Apple, and I watch all my fellow peer group, and we all get our Apple products out, whether it's our iPad and our iPhones, and you just know that the next generation, the Y generation, are sitting there going, that is so not cool now. So if I was sitting there where Microsoft are sitting, or I'm sitting where BlackBerry's sitting, or I'm sitting where Nokia, I'd actually go, do you know what? Well, there may be an opportunity if we get it right in 5–10 years' time to really capture the sort of next Y generation to make sure they're engaged with our products, because perhaps, and this may be tantamount to heresy, Apple may not be cool in that time.